Live, and thank you so much for being here. My name's Otis Landerholm. I am the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream, and you are tuning in here to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Today, we're going to talk about the parole process, the new parole process for Haiti, Nicaragua, Cuba, and Venezuela. So stay tuned about that. As we do that, we will take any questions that you have, whether about this or about your immigration case. So send me your questions, even as I'm talking. And thanks to everybody who's joining on Instagram and on TikTok and YouTube and LinkedIn. Really, thank you all so much for being here. And Facebook, I forgot Facebook. Thank you for everyone who's tuning in right now. All right, so welcome, thank you. The Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration law and to make the most out of their lives, okay? And today our theme is this new parole process for Haiti, Nicaragua, Cuba, and Venezuela. And my question in general today and every day is, do you want to get a green card this year, right? Is this year your year, right? If so, go for it. I'd love to help you with it. My firm is on a mission to win 10,000 immigration cases in the next 10 years. We would love for your case to be one of them, okay? And if we apply this year, you might not receive it this year, but you can certainly apply, right? And get the ball rolling, and these things have the power to change your life. So I'd love to help you go through that process. So, and as always, we'll take your questions as you've got them. So if you've got a question, send it in, and I'll get started. As always on Thursdays, I like to start. This is the Empowered Immigrant Live. I like to start with an empowerment tip. Okay, so my tip today is: what are you tolerating in your life? What's an area of your life where, you're not quite satisfied, but you're also not quite doing something about it. You're tolerating it. It's like, okay, I'm not going to fix that area for now. You know what I'm talking about? Like, is it a relationship that's not quite working the way you want it to? Is it your health habits that aren't quite working for you, but you're also not ready to make a change about it? Is it maybe your immigration status, right? Where it's not really working for you, it's holding you back, but you don't really want to, talk to lawyers, and you don't really want to, really go for it. Like, what is it in your life? What are you tolerating that maybe you shouldn't be? What are you tolerating that the powerful person inside you would not tolerate, and would advise you to, hey, make a decision about that? What are you tolerating that you don't want to stick with anymore? And here's the thing. Yes, examine it, figure out what it is, and my advice is do something about it. All right? If something isn't working, do something about it. If a relationship, or maybe it's your job, right, isn't working for you, get into communication about it. All right? Explain what you want. Change it up. Shake it up. Go for it. Don't tolerate mediocrity. Go for the life you want. All right? That's what immigration services are all about. Okay? So I hope that was useful. Hope it was helpful. If it was, let us know. Leave a comment. If it wasn't, let us know. Leave us a comment. All right? Cool. So today I want to talk about this new parole process for Haiti, Nicaragua, Cuba, Venezuela. It's also there for the Ukraine since March of last year. These processes sound simple. You may have heard about them in the news. They sound simple, but there are many possible pitfalls that happen in the case. There's many challenges to these cases. But let's discuss the basics first. Okay, last year, the Biden administration created a new plan to allow parole to be requested from a U.S.-based, quote-unquote, supporter, all right? And that person could be, they don't have to be a U.S. citizen. They don't have to have a green card. They can have TPS, for example. They could have a work permit through some immigration process, for example. They could have cancellation of removal, right? They can have lots of different, they could have DACA, right? So it's got to be a U.S.-based supporter, fills out the sponsorship request. It's a new form they've created called Form I-134A. The I-134 is not a new form, but the I-134A for this is, okay? And then the beneficiary from Haiti, Nicaragua, Cuba, Venezuela has to meet certain requirements, and you can see uscis.gov for that. Or from Ukraine has certain requirements also, different requirements. And that person then goes on, confirms all the details, requests a parole document they can use to then enter the U.S. Okay, that's the way those are the basics. That's how it works. So just to be super clear, it's a 3-step process. Step 1, a U.S.-based supporter needs to show, upload, document, demonstrate that they can support financially the person who's overseas, all right, the beneficiary. So they'll need to show their complete financial situation, income, expenses, assets, debts. They've got to show that they can support the person at least 125% of the federal poverty guidelines, and they do that on Form I-134A. Okay? After that, they go to step 2, which is that form gets confirmed by USCIS, and then the beneficiary in their country, Haiti, Nicaragua, Cuba, Venezuela, or Ukraine, needs to fill out, confirm the information that's already on there, edit any information that needs to be changed, upload their passport, and upload their vaccine information. They have to have COVID-19 vaccines and certain other vaccines. And then they've got to upload their travel details. That's step 2. After that, then Customs and Border Patrol issues a travel letter, and the beneficiary then can present that letter to get on a plane and travel to the United States. Okay? 3-step dance. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So that's the way it works in theory. That's the way it works. Okay? I say in theory because a lot of things can go wrong at each step of the way. There's often pushback on how the form is filled out. There's often pushback on, is the financial situation of the supporter really enough to support that beneficiary? All right? And so we've got to sometimes answer and explain and really get into it to demonstrate it to the satisfaction of some immigration officer. All right? Is the evidence that the beneficiary has overseas that they got all their vaccines, is that evidence going to satisfy U.S. immigration officials? Maybe the system in their home country is very different for how they do and document that vaccine process. So lots of these things are being worked out. All right, there's some of the challenges. This week, a client called with this question. All right, she's from Nicaragua. She's in removal proceedings here, fighting asylum. All right, based on persecution that happened in Nicaragua in her life, but her daughter is still there, and so she comes in. We're working with her for her asylum process. That's a long process. But now she wants to help her daughter come in while her proceedings are going forward, and she has a supporter, a friend, right, who is a U.S. citizen in this case, who's willing to help. And the question that she has is, will it get approved? Even though she has entered the U.S. and is now fighting asylum, will it get approved? And the answer is, look, this type of parole is very discretionary. It could be approved, it could also be denied. It's going to be up to Border Patrol, right? There's no guarantees in this type of case. But is certainly worth a try. It's certainly worth a shot, right? This is your daughter we're talking about. Like, let's give it a shot. Let's put everything we can into this thing. Let's do what we can to try to bring her into the U.S. so that as your asylum case takes the next 5 years, which often they do take that long, like, let's at least not have your daughter be separated from you, her mother, during all that time. So that's something, right? And we're working on that. And now here's the thing. Children can't come in on this parole if they're unaccompanied, right? If they're under 18, you can't just come in with this type of parole document. But in this case, the daughter's 17. She's about to turn 18. Once she turns 18, we can do this thing. All right? So that's just something, kind of a strategy thing that came up this week that I wanted to share with you. All right? These things can be very useful processes. Again, only right now, only for people from Haiti, Nicaragua, Cuba, Venezuela, or Ukraine. But, you know, a year ago, it was just Ukraine. And in the past 12 months, you know, really in September, they passed it for Venezuela. And then in January of this year, 2023, just a few weeks ago, the government has now passed it for Nicaragua, Haiti, Cuba, and just those three, in addition to Venezuela, have been passed. And so there we go, right? There we go. And so, you know, the other thing is that we've seen cases that were approved originally and then get denied at the border or denied at the airport, and that can happen, all right? And so you got to be aware. These things are not guaranteed and guaranteeable. Every time there's a new process within immigration, there's also like some new kinks, some new issues to work through, all right? And you've got to just be aware of that. But we can always give our best efforts and put our best work into it to maximize the chances of success. Ultimately, Border Patrol has the power to approve or deny the actual entry of any particular person. Okay? One other big point, I made this in the last video that I shot about this topic, and I want to be clear about it. Like, if you're from Haiti, Nicaragua, or Cuba, or any of these countries, Venezuela, Ukraine, do not come to the U.S. border to request this. All right? You've got to do the parole from your home country. You've got to do the parole from outside the U.S. first in order to be qualified for it. All right? If you don't do it from your home country or from outside the U.S. is the best way to say it. Look on uscis.gov for more specifics. For example, if you're from Nicaragua or Venezuela or Cuba or Haiti, and if you cross into Mexico unlawfully, now you're barred from this. All right? If you're from Venezuela, you cross into Panama unlawfully, you're now barred from this. Okay? And so you got to be aware of that. It's best to do it from wherever you are in the world. If otherwise, if you enter the U.S. or if you present yourself to the U.S., you know, you won't be paroled in. You'll be stuck fighting an asylum case, which is not easy. Okay? Thousands of people do it, but it's not easy. And yes, asylum's a good backup, I suppose, depending on your situation and whether or not you have a case for it. But having a parole entry is an enormous benefit. All right, it opens up a lot of options for the future. And so don't come to the border first. Got it? Request this parole from outside the U.S. before traveling if you're eligible for it, if you're from one of these countries. And let's get you that first. And then if we can get you into the U.S. on parole, we can explore other options from here. Okay? I hope that's helpful. I hope it's useful. I haven't received any questions so far, so I guess maybe all questions are answered. All right? Maybe there's 100% clarity. So that's awesome. And so thank you everybody who's joined me here so far. I really appreciate it. And so, you know, I guess that's it. And so if you do still have a question, send it over. I'll be happy to answer it either next time or I'll upload it to our YouTube channel. And to see those, the best thing to do is to subscribe to our channel in YouTube, and also to click that notifications bell so that you can see and be notified when we upload additional videos with additional news and updates. All right? And meanwhile, if you know a person in these countries that you would like to fight for, right, then get in touch with our office. We'd love to help you with this. Okay? As always, if you have an immigration case, please give us a call. We are here to help. We would love to help. Okay? So I see CE user. I see your point here that a lot of Afghans are doing this. The parole that I'm talking about here is not. It's not available for citizens of Afghanistan. All right? We might all argue that it ought to be. There was a humanitarian parole that existed briefly on paper and in theory for Afghanistan, and that was a huge fiasco, right? The whole botching of the, the whole like U.S. losing the war in Afghanistan was horrible, and we had several clients that were horribly affected by that whole process. It's a nightmare of a process. And there was a way to request humanitarian parole in theory. My understanding is 0 of those humanitarian parole requests were actually fully adjudicated. And I believe that 100% of them still remain pending. And instead, they were just evacuating people that they could evacuate for a short period of time, and I think that all of that has stopped, okay? And so that's been just a horrible and very embarrassing situation, so that's my answer to you, CE user, but thank you for asking that question. And what you're saying is, yes, they are instead coming and requesting asylum, and many of those folks have very strong asylum cases, all right? Anybody fleeing from the Taliban right now, right, I wouldn't say everyone will have a strong asylum case, but a lot of people are going to be eligible for asylum, because the way asylum law works, I mean, it's just a horrible, horrible, and very tragic situation. So, CE user, I see what you're saying. Thank you for saying it, and I agree with you 100%. Yeah, it's just a horribly tragic situation. So, all right, you guys, thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Again, my name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. If my firm can help you in any way, and if you have an immigration case or immigration questions or somebody that you want to help sponsor from any of these countries, hey, give us a call. We're here to help. We'd love to help. Okay? Thanks a lot. Take care, everybody. Everybody on Instagram, Nayare, By the Bay, Sharif, I see you there. By the Bay, California, you say thank you for providing this info. Very informative. You're most welcome. Thank you for being here. Everybody on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, thank you all so much. Have a great day.